Hi, Carl Carpenter here again for one of my, this is totally unscripted and spontaneous. I want to talk to you about Pink Floyd's Piper at the Gates of Dawn. This is the Tower version, it's a US stereo version. This is the first press in from 1967. I think one of the things to say about this is how I came about this. It was on Facebook Marketplace. Someone was selling some albums. They were all new sealed albums, and it said something about the Who, and I saw and it was just the and that interested me, and it was like a used copy of the Piper of the Gates of Dawn on US Tower. Um, I've obviously put a new inner sleeve in this. The album is virtually mint condition. There's just a little clip between track 1 and 2, but as you can see, beautiful condition. I paid £35 for this. From my point of view, that was money well spent. So, for those of you who don't know about the Piper at the Gates of Dawn, obviously there's 3 versions. There's the mono UK version, and I must admit I prefer that over the stereo UK version. The stereo UK version doesn't sound very good compared to the mono version. They are different mixes, but coming to the US version now. I'm not sure if you know about this, but the track listing on this, it opens with See Emily Play, then Power Talk, Take Up Thy Stethoscope and Walk, Lucifer Sam and Matilda Mother on side 1. And then on side 2, you've got The Scarecrow, The Gnome, Chapter 24 and Interstellar Overdrive. So those of you who know about the album will know that obviously we've got Astronomy Domini taken off. We've got Flaming taken off, and we've got Bike taken off. From my own personal point of view, I cannot imagine why anyone would choose the Scarecrow and the Gnome over Astronomy Domini, Bike, or Flaming. Americans did cut the length of their albums down. What is the difference between this and the English stereo version, you're probably asking? I mean, I'd love a copy of this in mono, I must say, but they were so scarce. America were ahead of us in a lot of ways. If you look at all the colour television coverage of bands and bands that were covered in the 60s, you would obviously see how far advanced they were. Most of their records, the percentage of mono was so small. To actually get a copy of Piper at the Gates of Dawn in mono in anywhere near decent condition as well it's going to cost you a fortune. I think the mix would be very interesting, but it could be just a a fold down mix of the stereo. So what can I tell you about this album? It's unique. The mixes on here, a bit like the Beatles stuff that was done in the 60s, it's been played with. See Emily Play is a totally unique mix. It loses a lot of bass, but what it gains out of that is it's a sort of space about it. They've added reverb to it, and you can hear certain instruments that weren't so much in the fore. This goes for the whole album, really. They've added a lot of reverb and echo to it. Bass has been lost. All right, you can turn it up a bit, add a bit of bass here and there, and it sounds great. But this sounds more psychedelic. I prefer the tracks that are in mono, kind of generally to the stereo version. But when you compare it to the American version, I prefer the American version in stereo, the American versions of the songs, to the English songs in mono. I'm not sure if this has been released on CD. I did see that someone said they paid a lot of money for the American version of it on CD. Maybe they've just released the English versions out of there, but I don't know. Most of the tracks on here, I mean, as I say, why would you choose a Scarecrow? No, they dated very badly. However, romantic you get about Syd Barrett in the 60s. and I'm a massive Syd Barrett fan. I don't really care for those songs anymore. I can do without them. I don't mind watching Scarecrow with the video that I think it was Paige McConey did that has now appeared. I love that, but I love this album. I think it's a great shame the other tracks are not on there, because if they'd done the same with them, they'd sound as good as this. I think to conclude with this is the version of Interstellar Overdrive on here. Obviously, because the tracks are in different order, it's an edit. I'd say it's very close to the one that's on Relics, but it's not the same version as the one that is on Relics. So I think this is in the hundreds. It might be 125, 150. This is absolutely near mint. So I'm not interested in the value, really. It's just very nice to get something and you don't pay too much for it. But my advice to anyone is get a copy of this album. If you're a massive fan of Pink Floyd and, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, it's an incredible album. I have heard the original mono album, a first pressing of it. All right, my stereo copy is a reissue, and obviously my mono copy is a record store day, reissue of the mono. But the American album is the real McCoy. I just wish they'd release it. Perhaps the master tape is not about, quarter inch is not about anymore. But Piper at the Gates of Dawn, original US stereo press, get it if you can. You're missing a hell of a lot if you don't get it. All right, take care. Bye.